excerpt. In accordance with the governor's executive order related to COVID-19, we have arranged a live stream of tonight's meeting at cedarlakein.org/view-town-meetings/. You must join the meeting through the link to participate during the public meeting. If you have any questions or comments about an item on the agenda, please email Michelle Baker, michelle.baker@cedarlakein.org by 5 p.m. Ms. Baker will ensure that all submissions are shared and submissions are entered into the minutes of the meeting. Please keep your comments civil and constructive to the public policy issues. All right, would everyone please stand for the pledge? Bob, can you do the pledge, please?
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Bob. All right, roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer.
Present.
Chuck Becker.
Here.
John Kapura.
Present.
John Foreman. John Foreman.
Present.
Richard Sharp.
Here.
Jerry Wilkening.
Here.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
John Oliphant.
Here.
Dave Austin.
Present.
Tim Kubiak.
Here.
Michelle Baker. Here. And I am present.
Look at that. All right. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the approval of July 15, 2020 public meeting minutes and August 5th, 2020 work session minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer.
Yes.
Chuck Becker.
Yes.
John Foreman. John Foreman.
John,
John Foreman.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Was that a yes?
That's a yes.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
John Kapura.
Yes.
Jerry Wilkening.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Old business, Centennial Phase 15, final plat. Owner petitioner, North Centennial Development, LLC, 8051 Wicker Avenue, Suite A, St. John, Indiana. Vicinity approximately 1000 Richmond Avenue. Petitioner is requesting final plat for 20 lots in Phase 15 of Centennial.
Good evening, Jeff Yasko with Old Top Homes. We're here tonight seeking approval for Phase 15, which is 20 single-family homes, and this is the last single-family section of Centennial. This will most likely complete Centennial, other than that little north leg. So we are seeking final plat approval. Roads are in, utilities are in, everything's ready to go.
All right. Don, anything else?
We got numbers. The plat is in order. The subsequent required values for the final plat approval would be a performance letter of credit. They have a majority of the infrastructure in, so they're eligible for the 25% maximum reduction. That number would be $82,029.20. The 3% inspection fee based off the estimated cost of construction would be $9,843.50. And then the $2,000 MS4 inspection fee. There's also a contingency of total removal of a stockpile in Phase 12 prior to the last 5 lots of this subdivision, building permits for the last 5 lots being issued. It's a policy decision we've kind of been instituting over the last year plus with other subdivisions to get rid of stockpiles at the end of subdivision build-outs.
Just so we don't get stuck with them.
So I do have one comment I'd like to make on that stockpile contingency.
Okay.
Don and I kind of shared a couple emails today, and I totally understand you guys want the stockpiles. We don't want these stockpiles. But the difference is that we actually use the stockpile. So if that was extra material and we were just getting rid of it, we'd start loading it in the trucks tomorrow and we get rid of it. But as we build homes, we use that as respread. So typically on every home that we build, and of course it's at the end of the house, it's almost the very last thing before the lawn goes in. we pull out that stockpile to build the homes. My only fear is that if we hold 5 building permits back, I have to build, pretty much completely build 15 homes in that phase to eat up as much as that stockpile as I can. And then according to the contingency, I have to take whatever's left and haul it offsite. And then when I build those last 5 homes, I got to turn around and haul the material right back into Centennial. So I would rather consider if we could link that to the performance bond so that we will not convert our performance bond or our performance letter of credit to maintenance letter of credit before the stockpile is gone. Because then that would allow us to use all the material that we can for those 20 lots, and then, which we use most of it, and then we would just haul off the rest, and then we would ask for that letter of credit.
And as long as you're working through that pile, and if you use 3/4 of it with the 15 houses, and that's the way it's going, then you're going to be in fine shape. I mean, we're just
Well, this is
saying
worded that I have to get rid of. I'm sorry, I have to get rid of all of it. So I don't really want to get rid of all of it.
I mean,
To be honest, we could actually
monster
start
stockpile right
putting
now.
out totally permits on those 20 lots, like we sold. So it's not anything that's going to sit around. We're going to be chewing through that stockpile.
as long as there's an agreement such as that, he can't turn into maintenance so the pile's gone. It still covers the town from having to remove it. So that's the ultimate goal. I mean, we just don't want to be stuck with saying, well, you guys got, you got $10,000 of our money, so you can move it yourself. We don't want to.
And I think we showed a really good faith in the last couple of months. That whole pile was gone. We got rid of that.
Right.
And we got rid of that because that was extra. So we got rid of it. The stuff that we have left, I think we're going to use most of it.
I think the concern is the amount of time that pile you're talking about that it's gone, how long it was there. Because it was there for a long time.
It was there for a long time.
It was there for a long time. That's probably, that's
we're
my concern.
we're just trying to make sure that the town doesn't get stuck. I mean, that's, the pile that was just moved in Ledgestone was probably $100,000 to get out of there, which again, we used a similar tactic, but it was getting to the end and it's not getting moved. And, before you know it, all the houses are built and we got a big mountain of dirt sitting there that's not supposed to be there. So that's all the end goal. But as long as, I think that seems like a fair, as long as he doesn't change it to maintenance before.
Ultimately, it's a leverage thing.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Or whatever leverage you feel comfortable with, before it's gone. It's a pretty large stockpile right now. So it's on an outlot.
If
So
the
it's not
agreement was
affecting-
we didn't turn it over to maintenance until the pile is gone, do you think that's adequate, David, or no?
No, actually, I'm thinking the worst case scenario here, and that is that if the performance, it will include the cost of removal, and we have to go call that performance, we're doing, notwithstanding having the money, we're doing the removing. And we don't want to be in that business.
I don't know.
I think Don's
And
suggestion.
that's not as part of the letter of credit, obviously.
Right, I know that, but we're still in the business of removing things
Yeah.
at that
So-
point.
So Don, this stockpile,
Could you legally pull the letter of credit and use that money to remove the stockpile?
Well, if that is the condition the plan commission thinks is a reasonable condition for final plat approval, absolutely. They can impose reasonable conditions.
There's 82,000 that would be in it.
What's the estimated cost of removal of that pile as it sits right now?
Well, as it sits now, I would say it would probably cost us about 40, 50,000 to move it. But again, we don't want to move it because we're going to use most
I
of it.
understand all that.
What if-
but,
we're trying to create some kind of
well,
assurance.
so give us another letter of credit for $40,000 for the stockpile. In the conversation. When it's gone, you get your $40,000 back.
Or you just make this last 82 grand.
Right now, with phase 15, we're giving you guys a letter of credit for $82,000.
I got a quick
And
thing to say here. How about if you just reword your condition to say, if at the time that there's 10 houses built, that half of the pile, or, when 15 houses are built, 3/4 of the pile is going to be gone. where the building permits will be held. So if, as long as you're using it at the rate you think you are, that way we got some discrepancy to work with you, just like we did with Diamond Peak. I mean, as long as, again, the end goal is that we don't get stuck with the pile of dirt.
Right.
So if you got 3/4 of it gone, there's 5 houses left and everything's going according to plan, we're in good shape. But if the pile's still completely there and you got 5 houses left, you're not getting any more permits until it's gone.
Well,
So
I guess
that way-
the only thing I'm saying is that we've got 20 reservations on that phase.
Right, and I understand.
And so moving that dirt happens last because it's when the house is done. So it's hard, I would love to say after 15, but you know.
But you gotta be moving it and getting it gone. That's the thing that we just.
Yeah, we just
want it
gone.
I want to see progress.
It should be well over
Yeah, I-
halfway gone.
I think the progress thing is a great idea. However, somebody has to look at it. Somebody has to police it. I mean, you're asking, you know what you're asking to do.
No, I know, but this
You're
is
asking to keep an
This
eye.
is a pretty big thing that we're aware of,
Yeah.
it's not something that we're driving by with blinders. I mean, this is why we've come up with this here, because we want to make sure that we are having, that
So
we're
this
all
pi-
looking at it.
So this pile of dirt is on a lot that will never be built on.
It's on an outlot, an open space lot.
So we're just trying to make sure that it's on everybody's radar. Though the Diamond Peak one, we kind of made up our own policy as it went through and told them that when they get to 10 lots, they're not gonna be able to build anymore. And they got to that point and they started moving the dirt out and it's working out perfectly. But
Who owns that outlot?
at the end of the
Let's say,
day,
Once they're done, who owns that outlot?
HOA.
HOA.
So would it be up to HOA to move it?
That's part of the disaster we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't want it
You don't
disaster.
want it to go to
HOAs don't
HOA.
do that stuff.
We would never get rid of it. I think we will get rid of that dirt. I just want to use it. I mean, I could move it today, but if I move it today, I'm gonna end up hauling 3/4 of it right back into the subdivision. It just doesn't make sense.
So is there an amount of homes that would not get occupancy permits until that
I mean, I
that
guess
dirt
I
is
feel
moved?
pretty comfortable with they've moved the rest of their piles and are getting to the end. They've never been doing anything. They've done everything that they've told us they're gonna do, but if we have some language somewhere, like Mr. Ocean said, that we could use money. I mean, me and Don just wanted this to be on Old Top's radar and our radar to make sure that it's, we're getting to the end of this. It's been going on this subdivision's been going on for how many years? So we don't want to overlook it. That's why we know this is the last one and we want to make sure that
Yeah, you gotta-
we're last.
it's gotta be cleaned up.
Right. We want to make sure when they leave that we're getting everything, in
The way it's supposed to be.
the way it's supposed to be.
there's a
So
lot
it's
of
just
different
that's why we're being a little cautious, because this is the last
La-
one and we want to make
last-
sure of that, so.
Instead of building permits on the last, what I call occupancy permits.
I would hate to impact the homeowner at that point.
Yeah,
Not the homeowner's
you bring another
responsibility.
party into the game that they're not involved in
I mean, I guess
this.
our letter of credit that we're providing for phase 15 is $82,000, and our remaining improvements is only $37,000. So we're actually giving you guys a letter of credit almost $50,000 more just because of that 25% reduction number. So,
That's our code.
right, and that's kind
Follow
of.
So that doesn't come into play.
I'm sorry.
To me, that doesn't come into play. How much dirt is gonna be left when you get down to the last 5 cars?
You want to tie it to it? Let her go.
I would say we'd still need another
Just trying to be consistent. I just don't.
100 truckloads, 150 truckloads.
Left to move out.
No, left for those last 5 lots.
And how much do you use per lot?
Well, usually we use about 20 to 25.
I mean-
trucks a lot.
At the end of the day, I really feel like at Ledgestone, we had the same situation, and Don and myself, we told them that we are not issuing building permits until pile's gone, and gave them a warning and let them know that. And I mean, we had the authority to stop issuing building permits anytime we're gonna keep an eye on this, and I don't know that it necessarily needs to turn into what we're talking about here, because we're gonna make sure that what you're saying is true, and as this is being built, you're using it. And if you're not, then you're gonna find out, just like you're notified right now, that you're gonna turn in that building permit, it's gonna be sitting in there until something happens. I mean, I think that communication between him and this board, letting him know that that's gonna happen, is adequate. I mean, I know that, he's saying they're gonna, which I truly believe they will, but just to know that if you don't, there's gonna be a consequence of you not getting your permit.
So you guys are trying to keep some consistency with Ledgestone.
Yeah.
That's the point of bringing this up.
It's kind of the first one that's
Okay.
is closing
Well,
out.
and then these
So
are ending now. All
Yeah.
these subdivisions have been going on for 10 plus, all this time.
So Ledgestone had a pile that they were not using,
Just sitting there.
and it just sat there the whole time.
Yeah, grew over. Yeah, pretty good.
So now we're, thinking like, all right, when are they gonna get rid of this? So we
Yeah.
let them know like, hey, this is gonna have to be gone before you're out of here, because once they have no more lots, you don't have the lever any longer, to say you need to do it. So
Mr. Austin,
again, I think it's just good for everybody to be on the same page.
is some transfer of this letter of credit, is that doable?
If you're referring to transfer, meaning inclusion of the amount estimated to remove the pile if they don't do it, the answer is yes, you could do that.
I'm comfortable with the difference between the remaining improvement number, which Jeff said is around 37, and the held amount, the 25% max reduction is 82. That gap should be enough to remove it, and that's assuming it's totally there, which it won't be. I get that.
If that's the case, if Don's accurate, I'm sorry, Jerry, then there needs to be clarification or additional sentence or two in the letter of credit or in the requirement of what the surety definition, what the surety is for, so that on the backside, we're covered here at the town. I don't want to go to a council meeting and ask council for $52,000 because we got to contract out the pile that didn't get moved. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we can revise our letter to include that language versus the language I have there now.
Just a slight addition.
Yeah, and then we'll also, I'm sure building department will be observing the progress at the same time. If
So-
there's any kind of issues coming up to that, 5 lot threshold, I'm sure we'll be in contact.
So Don, you'll provide the extra language, and get it
I
to
will.
Dave?
Yeah.
Dave says it's good? Okay, does anybody Zooming not understand what we're doing here?
I'm good.
Kein Problem. That's no problem in German.
Okay, thank you.
John? Is that John?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Zoomers. Everybody else in here good with what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Monde nai, no problem in Japanese.
Turn him off.
Ron, you should mute yourself.
Hit the gong, would you? All right, so the motion will have to include the contingency of
I mean,
extra language
Amend the letter of credit.
to amend the letter of credit.
yeah, and I imagine the language is going to be holding the letter of credit in performance until stockpile's out. And then in the meantime, we'll also keep an eye on the status of it throughout the build out of phase 15, and we'll go from there.
And that'll be happening
Bank won't
just so
accept
you
that,
know.
Don.
Huh?
The bank won't accept that.
What?
Until the
The
pile
monitoring,
is out.
the monitoring.
It's gonna need to be done in the 2-year period or whatever.
So I have to state a timeline?
That's how banks handle
Okay.
letters of credit. It's Article 2 of the UCC.
Is it? Some are dated.
Our performance letters of credit are always.
They're always dated. They always have a term. We always calendar them up.
Generally a year.
Wait.
Yeah.
1 year.
for them.
1 year.
That's what I'm saying. It's just speculative.
You can do it
One-
for longer.
You can do it for longer.
Then we'll tie the rollover to something, then we'll have to
Yeah.
do some type of date.
Listen, you can put the date certain, keep it the same, keep it 1 year. And if they don't get it done, they'll be back here for an extension.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. You've got extensions all the time on your
Yeah.
agendas.
Okay, you good, Don?
Okay.
All right. Mr. Sharp, you good?
Absolutely.
Don, Chuck, you good? Don will be getting some language to Dave. So,
And with that additional language, Don in his letter says the plat appears to be in accordance with the town of Cedar Lake subdivision ordinance, and it is our recommendation that it be approved from Don's letter.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That is correct.
Yes, sir. This seemed to be the only caveat, Don. Or Bob. Okay. Does anyone like to make a motion?
What are we approving, Jerry?
The
Final
petitioner's final preliminary plat.
Final-
no,
final
Final
plat.
plat. Final plat. Too many papers.
Be contingent on what we just talked about, and also the values I spoke about earlier. The letter of credit amount. the inspection
$82,029.
fee, And then this 4 fee. Yep.
And any and all engineering comments, whatever they are.
I'd like to make a motion for final plat approval contingent upon the letter of credit from Christopher Burke Engineering and the other contingencies within that letter of credit.
That's good, Mr. Austin?
May I suggest that signatures on the Mylar be withheld pending getting the letter of credit and having all
Absolutely.
checkoffs?
And signatures being withheld until all I's
That's
are
all they
dotted.
need to do to record and go.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Sharp. We have a second. Second by Chuck. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer.
Yes.
Chuck Becker.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
John Kapura.
No.
Jerry Wilkening.
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
6-1.
Yep.
All right, new business. Lakeside preliminary plat extension. Owner petitioner Cedar Lake 133 LLC, 8900 Wicker Avenue, St. John, Indiana. Vicinity 5711 West, 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat extension that expires 9/18/20. Hello.
I am Michael Tiller with Schilling Development, developers of Lakeside. I'm here tonight seeking a 1-year preliminary plat extension due to sanitary and water issues that we kind of worked through. We hope to get another phase in next year, depending on those. If you have any questions.
Don,
No.
any comments?
Nope.
Straightforward.
Yep.
Mr. Austin,
Self-evident.
self-evident. Okay, Tim, Michelle,
No,
it
sir.
is what it is.
Yep.
Mr. Sharp?
It is what it is, Jerry.
Chuck?
Ditto.
Zoomers, anybody have any comments?
Okay.
No, hopefully we'll have everything ironed out within the next year.
I think you're right. Okay. I guess would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion that we grant the petitioner his request for preliminary plat extension that expires in 9/18/20 to 9/18/21.
For a year or 6 months?
1 year.
1 year?
1 year.
1 year, Bob, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Mr. Carnahan. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
John Kapora, seconded. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer.
Yes.
Chuck Becker.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
John Kapura.
Yes.
Jerry Wilkening.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good.
Next item.
Step in the right direction.
Item number 2, new business, Pepys, one lot subdivision. Owner petitioner Richard and Karen Pepys, 9710 Genevieve Drive, St. John, Indiana. Vicinity 8029 Lake Shore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for a one lot subdivision. Hello?
Okay, first of all, I missed you all last month, but the town council meeting was fun. I thought we still needed to have the easement recorded and get a number on it so that we can finish that final plot. So
That is true. That is something that David can address.
I've drafted a drive access agreement instrument that I sent over here to the town for comments and input. Michelle and I talked today about that. I recommended that it be sent to Stuart Allen for his review and input so that that document could be finalized, executed, recorded, and appended. It's going to occur. It's just a matter of the form. I sent over a document a couple weeks ago, and it was an easement form of agreement, and there were a lot of questions about it from staff. So I've simplified it. I dumbed it down to drive access.
Okay.
We're just trying to make certain that these folks and their invitees and their successors can get on this property without any legal impediments.
Okay, so this will likely be ready a month from now, so it can be voted on.
Yeah, or you can vote on it tonight and make a
With the
contingent.
contingent on the drive access agreement.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. All right, Don, anything
We
else?
had that similar condition of approval to get the actual recordation number on the plat, for the plats recorded. And then also the drainage certification has to be added to the plat, for both minor and major.
Okay, so,
I'm good with it.
all right. So we have Don's review and Dave's review, and staff's review too, as a contingency.
Correct.
Okay. Bob, Heather, John, any thoughts?
No.
No, I'm fine.
I'm good.
Anyone else on the commission here?
Good, Jerry.
Everybody's good? Okay. I guess, would anyone like to make a motion?
It's called an agreement of access document.
Okay.
I don't think so. Isn't it called drive access agreement? I mean, it's the same. It says the same thing, but I didn't bring it with me.
I just read off the top.
Yeah. Okay.
Drive access or what?
Well, it's going to be drive access agreement. We're trying to make it simple. Michelle, do you have the latest document?
Yes.
Okay.
So we need to include that in the motion plus Don's review,
Yes, sir.
and that's it?
Seems to be.
I'll make a motion that we grant the petitioner's request for a preliminary plat.
Final.
What?
Final plan.
Number 2. Jerry?
Pepys.
John, down to number 2. Yeah.
I'm reading Lakeside.
Okay.
Excuse me.
you
I don't have
forgot
my
about me
glasses on.
already. Come on.
See, you do without my
I've only
glasses.
been in
Can't hear.
other meetings.
Yeah. All right,
what
I'll make a
happens.
motion to, we grant the petitioner's request for final plat for a one lot subdivision contingent upon the drive access agreement being executed and review by Don of any necessary articles or items.
We have a motion by Mr. Kapora. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
John Kapora,
Yes.
Jerry Wilkening.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously.
I'm glad I didn't have a pile of dirt.
We are too.
All right.
But you never know when you're going to need a pile.
Yeah, probably will. All right, thank you.
Have a good night. Okay. Item Item number 3, Gone preliminary plat, one lot subdivision. Kurt Gone. 14627 Moore Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity of the same. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for a one lot subdivision.
Yeah, just requesting for the one lot subdivision to allow me to put a new pole barn.
Name and
All right.
address for the record, please.
Yeah, name and address for the record, please.
Kurt Gahn, 14627 Morse Street, Cedar Lake.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. All right, Mr. Austin,
Legals are in order.
everything's good? Don?
So we actually only got a final plat from Turanga. So we didn't even get a preliminary plat. So we had some comments. One of them, and probably should be discussed, would be obviously frontage improvements and sidewalk placement. So this is off Moore Street, trying to pull it up now. Typically with one lot subdivisions, we've kind of waived that requirement, mainly because they've been on side roads, but this is a pretty heavily used corridor with future plans to construct sidewalk north of 145th. It's this parcel. So it's close to that corridor where it would terminate. I'm just kind of throwing it out there for discussion.
Right on Morse, right?
It's right on Morse.
Right on the road.
So kind of under item number 1, we obviously typically, waive park dedication, tree placement, widening of the actual roadway and stormwater retention. That's typical for one lot subdivisions, but sidewalks are a little different just based on the location of this lot. It's a pretty heavily used corridor, and there's discussions with RDC right now to actually construct sidewalk 145th all the way north. This is close to it. It's
Yeah,
less than a half mile away.
close enough, I think.
So we have made other one lot subdivisions do this. We've done it on the parcel off of 141st south of Beacon East.
Yeah.
The Kuiper compound, if you remember that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have done it and we have waived it on some,
That
but
one on 133rd.
in the 133rd, the sharp
Yeah.
east of Faith Church.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've done it on more heavily accessed corridors. This would likely fall into that category. A long frontage. I don't know if the actual drawing's on here. There it is. Frontage is a little over 200 feet, 208 feet. So it's a lot of sidewalk.
Mhm.
He has the dedication on there for the actual road itself. So I'm just kind of putting it out there for discussion, and it's essentially a policy.
All right. Mr. Kubiak?
I guess my concern with it is just location, elevation. A lot of these that we're doing, 2 that are done or 2 that are going to be done. And we got the sidewalks a lot. We're trying to design Parish over there by Strax now. And we're kind of settling now for sidewalks that are 3 feet down below the road because they're put in before. So it's a double-edged sword. I don't know if there's a way to get some dollars to go towards the sidewalk fund but I just don't like to keep seeing us. It's a great idea to get sidewalks in. Like over here by the condos, they put the curbs in, the sidewalks in proper, where they need to go. But in these remote areas where we have no curbs and no drainage and no anything, and then we just throw kind of a sidewalk in next to the road, I don't know. We're putting the burden on the guy to put it in, and then when we try to make it right, we're kind of conceding to our standards because there's already something there that's in the wrong spot. So it's a tough situation, and again, it's like a double-edged sword. But I hate to see us, if there's somewhere close to somewhere where there is sidewalk and we know that we're putting in something that's going to be there forever, it's awesome. But
Well, I think the last sidewalk we waived was the one that was going up by the Armor Rock, by the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
That was going nowhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
that's really
talking,
going nowhere.
you're talking about monies, Tim. Are you talking about some assurance?
Fee in lieu of
something
that-
for the cost of the walk or whatever. But I just hate to see us. Like they asked Don, we're doing Parish. We're trying to come up with a plan for Parish now over there where there's the the sidewalk's down 3 feet below the road, and you know, it's just not what you want to see when it's all done right. You don't want to just say, well, that sidewalk's in, so let's keep it in the wrong place. You're going to rip it out and put it right because you need to.
So what's the cost per lineal foot for a 5 foot wide, properly based, properly constructed?
Yeah, it's about $3 a square foot.
Is that a lineal foot?
So a lineal foot would be 5 times like $15. Somewhere around there.
And what is the amount that is for this property?
Would you say the length of the sidewalk was, Don?
$15, so it'd be like $3,000.
A little over 200 feet, 208 feet to be exact. Is the size, is the width of the frontage of.
Yeah, about
3120.
$3,000.
Because that's about what those others were at that.
I think Mr. Kuiper's was much more than
No,
that.
his was more. Yeah, he made his maybe longer.
I don't think that was that much longer.
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, John, go ahead.
Perhaps what we should do, since Tim's point is spot on, we should ask him for an easement, so that way in the future, when we want to put sidewalks wherever we decide to put them, then we already have the land and not make the guy forego any of that, because otherwise he would still own the sidewalk, wouldn't he?
That's already a requirement of the
Yeah,
plat.
the right of way is already being dedicated, John,
Oh, I see.
as part of the plat. Yeah, Kuiper is 296.
The only thing I see about this, if not putting in the sidewalk, up by MacArthur School, we had a Safe Schools grant to put sidewalks in there, and the town council asked to have that shipped over by Hanover school system, and I was told that street department would put sidewalks in there, and that has never happened.
On the list.
I guess it's on the list, Bob.
Not yet, Bob.
Okay.
My understanding is that every time you put up a new home, they want sidewalks put in. That was the big argument when the one on 141st Street. His sidewalk will go nowhere. It starts at nowhere and ends at nowhere. But he has to put it in for this commission. And if you're gonna be consistent, then this gentleman needs to put a sidewalk in.
And the other part of that is price only goes up.
Correct.
Well, I'm
The price-
just suggesting the money in lieu of, so we make sure it
Yeah,
gets in
it's
the
a
right
fee in
spot.
lieu.
Well,
Exactly.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. The fee in lieu of is what it is now. but-
Or waiver in lieu of payment of the estimated construction cost of the sidewalk, just as Tim suggested.
Yeah, I think that's where everybody's kind of going.
No, I
Yeah,
agree with
just-
Tim. It's better to do it all at once. Like Parish, we're gonna be putting in curbs. It's better to be able to
And have it
properly
done-
locate it and.
Have it done right.
Yeah, that there on Pear Smith be ripped out and redone, to be right.
Is it
I'm
really?
gonna just lower the road.
Huh?
Just gonna lower the road.
Yeah, that'll be cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Yeah, reconstruct
Well,
it.
yeah,
it's
we have
just-
to do that. And
I mean, we're trying to make, and again, to make decisions towards planning, it makes a great idea to
Yeah.
put these sidewalks in, and it's an awesome concept, but after seeing some of these things that we're running into by doing it, I'm just trying to not, we need to keep moving forward, and if we have those dollars to put that sidewalk in when we do the road, then that's just as good as,
And ultimately, getting the funds now avoids perhaps the future owner of this property to say, I didn't agree to that.
Yeah, no question. The signs of this owner will be bound by the agreement made today.
Okay.
But we're talking about the exception to the rule. Our rules in the subdivision control ordinance, as John says, are our rules. They're black and white. You have waiver authority, however, and you can waive and you can require or impose reasonable conditions for consideration of that waiver, much like you did with the that Armor Road waiver. So you've got some flexibility here.
Well, there's, according to Don's letter, stormwater detention, of course, That's a waiver, widening of the public roadway. That's already been done, right? You said that's showing up on there?
Well, no, I mean, actually widening the roadway.
Oh, widening the, okay, all right.
Similar to what Rose Garden.
Park dedication, it's a one lot subdivision.
Yeah.
And then tree placement requirements, he's already got a bunch of trees. I don't see a reason to do any of that.
Yep.
So, Heather, Bob, John, any thoughts?
I already mentioned mine.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Yeah, I'm good with in lieu of.
Okay. Heather?
I'm good as well.
Okay. Chuck, John, Richard?
I'm good with that
The
too.
only thing I'm worried about is in lieu of they're paying. He pays the money, put the money on the side. What, 30, 40 years from now? Well, sidewalk in when the town, look at all the projects right now, we're waiting on,
And
we've been waiting forever. They don't have the money to complete the project or, we'll be there, 30 years from now. I paid this money for the sidewalk and I still don't have the sidewalk.
Hey, Chuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I was thinking is we create a non-reverting or a fund for sidewalk money. And in these instances, we prioritize. For example, there's a subdivision called Robin's Nest that is disconnected from the rest of town. And to me, that seems like a pretty important sidewalk because all community members could then get from town to Lemon Lake and they could walk and exercise. So maybe what we do is we think about something like that, perhaps.
But I don't know how they're gonna be able to do that, because when they approved, St. Michael's Church, they didn't make you put a sidewalk in.
Yeah, we screwed up. That was a big mistake.
And then,
Just we made the one person on 133rd, right over there, put the sidewalk. And then, like I said, I'm just worried about, we wait, take the money, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, it needs to go into a sidewalk only fund, kind of like the park non-reverting is my thought process.
But is there gonna be a time limit where it has to get done by a certain time?
On his particular property, no, it may never happen. Just depends on the priorities of the community and where we're walking to.
Essentially go to a general fund, but can you do that?
Well, the answer to that is maybe. I mean, it just depends upon what the terms here are, what the conditions would be. I've drafted many times escrow agreements that hold funds for time period certain based upon conditions anticipated to occur, most recently in Cherville. In the last year, I've done that. So being very clear about what the condition is and what the purpose is and what the agreed amount of time is makes a good document. Otherwise, you have an ambiguous document. It's unfair to him or his successors, and it's not right by us.
I'd be happy to see this sidewalk covered somehow. That if it's like John says, put it into a escrow account with proper verbiage and what have you. Reason being is that eventually that road's going to be widened, correct?
Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows? But
We don't know.
but there's no curb in that there now, right?
No.
correct.
Right. So when you do come to put this in, either widen the road or create the sidewalk, you want to make sure elevations are right, like Tim says, so it's not 2, 3, 4 feet below street level. So I'm happy with this solution as opposed to making them put in now, and maybe the elevation will be too high and stop drainage. Maybe it'll be too
Well,
low
when
and
it gets
create
put
a
in, it's
flooding
gonna
problem.
put in properly and.
Yeah, so I like that idea. I also like having the fund so that when the time comes, if it ever comes, we can go ahead and do it, even if it's gonna cost us a little more than what we put aside today.
I think the fund, which fund it goes in is gonna be separate from,
It'll be an escrow account.
Yeah.
Interest bearing, held separate.
I think it should go into Social Security because they take everything out of there.
I agree, Social Security it is.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hey, Don, did you come up with a number
Yeah.
for that distance? A number you're good with?
$3,131.25. It's based on $15 a linear foot.
31 what?
31.31 and 25 cents.
25 cents. Okay, and that would be a fee in lieu of the sidewalk.
Yes.
So a motion would have to include all the waivers with this as a contingency.
Yes.
All right.
Would there be any kind of time limit like they were bringing up? If this sidewalks didn't go in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, would that money be coming back?
I think it's got to be out there for forever.
I think it's just gonna be looked at as like a cost of development, and like Mr. Ocean said, your money that you're putting into sidewalks may be heading to Robin's Nest on sidewalks for the town. Because when your road, when we come through there and widen your road, your sidewalk will be installed with, whatever dollars is being used at that point. But that dollar amount would just be going towards 209 feet of sidewalk.
It's kind of like the sewer bill. There's a certain amount of money that goes to repair sewers and put things in. And ultimately, Robin's Nest, we need a sidewalk, we need a bridge.
Correct.
So-
It's a
Yeah.
big project.
Yeah, it's huge.
And the detention pond for the church is also in a similar situation.
Yeah.
So in
Okay.
a fit of common sense, this property is on Moore Street, south of the Tasty Tops, on the east side. It has a home on it. Why are you here for a one-lot subdivision? You want to make an improvement on the property?
Just put a pole barn in there.
So if he did not put a pole barn, he was not interested in it or come in for something.
This house has been there for 136
He's making this a
years.
legal lot of record. And so again, in a fit of common sense, I know that street like you know that street. There are only houses on that side and big lots and open grass areas. Utility, our lift station 3 sits there. It's a nice place to visit.
Nice amenity.
Not when it's not working. And so, again, like we talked a month or two ago about the sidewalk to nowhere on Armour, the realities of what will happen on Moore Street East Side, given what's there and how it's existed to this point in 100 years of time, it's not going to develop, right? Can we conclude that it's not going to develop? You're not going to have Mr. Yatsko come in or Mr. Schilling come in and say, boy, it's beautiful. I can put 15 lots back there. They're not going to do that.
No.
That aside, if the road gets done and the curbs get put in, then there's likely to be sidewalks
To where?
to the end of town, whoever the end of town ends up being.
Okay, so is there a sidewalk in front of his house now?
No.
Okay. We require a sidewalk when you're building a new residence. Correct? He's not building a new residence.
He is not.
All he's doing is making a one-lot subdivision. Do you have to, if I bought a 2 pieces of property here and I come before here and I wanted to make it a one-lot subdivision for somewhere down the road to do something with it, would I have to put a sidewalk in?
If there was no house?
If there was no house, if
When
I'm
you
not
built the
building a
house,
house.
yes.
If I'm not building a house and there's no house there, I would have to put sidewalk in?
When you built the house.
When you
built
I
the house,
build a
yeah, when, yeah.
But not for the one-lot subdivision. So what he's doing here is making a one-lot subdivision,
To build a pole barn.
but that's not a house, that's not a residence.
Right.
It's an accessory building.
That's why it's up discussion for a waiver or not.
Yeah, now that I realize there's no house, I don't think this gentleman should even have to put up any money for a sidewalk.
That's the point I was getting to here, is because if he's making a one-lot subdivision, not putting a new residence on there, he's got an existing house, and he's putting up an accessory building, he needs to make a one-lot subdivision so he can put the building up, correct?
Correct.
I don't see why he needs to put a sidewalk in.
I guess that's the point. We're kind of legislating the exception here.
Yeah.
By our rules, by our subdivision control ordinance requirements, and that isn't what the fact pattern is for the parcel. You hit on the head what the fact pattern is.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I don't think there's seems kind of silly.
Yes, it's not needed. I mean, it's not part of the requirements, in my opinion.
I agree with
So
you.
waive
John.
that requirement and let's move
So,
on.
so Don, a motion would have to include A, B, C, and the sidewalk. Waiver, for the waiver.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we really haven't even gotten a preliminary plat from Stewart yet. We only got a final plat, but knowing Stewart, I'm not concerned. He normally does stuff pretty well.
I would agree with that in terms of Stewart.
If you do a favorable recommendation to approve it, I would just make contingent on us getting everything done to Stewart prior to recordation. Do you want to do the final plat part of it too?
Could we add final plat also to this in a separate motion to include the requirements of the 30 days?
And provided the Mylars with signatures are withheld 30 days,
Right.
that would work.
Yeah.
We did that recently.
Yes.
Then it doesn't come back here, it's done,
But he doesn't have to. Right.
Be two votes.
handled by staff.
It's minor.
Okay,
You know, I gotta say this to Mr. Gani, he's put up a hell of a fight tonight. He didn't open his mouth once.
No, and he won.
Just like this.
everybody
I'm
that lives
saying, I'm
on,
sitting here watching this, this is so cool.
everybody lives,
All it got fatter.
He won.
I saw him cutting grass out there the other day. He's taking care of the property.
please cover the boat up.
Well, once the pole barn's in.
Once-
the-
Yeah. That's the pole
You
barn.
walked into that one.
Okay. Does anyone zooming in have any more questions?
Now that I know where the lot is that Doc Dudley's property?
It's next to it.
Next to it.
It's
I
next.
see. Thank you.
No one zooming has any questions. Would anyone zooming like to make a motion?
Do you need to ask for remonstrators? It's on the agenda.
You do. You had a public hearing.
Thanks, Bob. Have a seat a minute. Are there any remonstrators for or against this request? Anyone for or against this request? For one lot subdivision? Nobody on the computer?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Gahn, we'll come back up. Thank you. All right, would anyone like to make a motion regarding petitioner's request for a preliminary plat for a one lot subdivision?
Have you got it down what the motion should be?
Not exactly. It's got to include everything on Don's list.
I would note the waivers. So the first, get back up very quick. A through D in the first note, and then include sidewalk in there as well. And then just make contingent on engineering comments being adequately addressed by his surveyor.
What's the date of that letter?
Shouldn't we have the waiver first and clear it? And then the plat could be a primary plat.
Yeah.
Final.
You can do that.
What's the
So-
date on that letter?
8/14.
So we're gonna vote on the waivers, and then we're gonna vote on the
primary plat.
primary plat.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do waivers, primary, and then final?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that we grant. Well, I just have to do the motion, the waivers.
Waiver of the sidewalk requirement.
I make a motion that we do the waivers for the letter of, we approve the waivers for the letter of Don Oliphant from 8/14/2020, items A through D, with the sidewalk waiver, with the sidewalk included in that.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Mr. Kapora, second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Robert Carnahan,
No.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
John Capora,
Yes.
Jerry Wilkie.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. All right, next motion needs to be for the preliminary plat approval. Anybody like to make a motion?
No, final plot.
Preliminary.
No.
Just waiver.
Preliminary, are we doing preliminary,
No.
do final?
Preliminary then final. Would be three
Separate,
votes.
separate actions.
Okay.
They did have two drawings. I don't know.
They both said final on it.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to Stuart. It's not a big deal.
Okay, anybody like to make a motion on the preliminary plat
I'll
approval?
make a motion that we grant the preliminary plot for this subdivision.
Got a motion by Mr. Capora. Do we have a second?
I would say
Include
contingent.
engineering.
Contingent on engineering comments.
Contingent on engineering comments.
Contingent on engineering comments.
Do we have a motion to the like? Second to the like. Chuck is seconding that motion. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Foreman. John Foreman,
Yes.
Robert Carnahan,
No,
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
John Capora,
Yes.
Jerry Wilkie.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. The next motion will be for final plat contingent on
The 30-day period after.
30-day hold period
For
for
signature.
signatures. Signature hold period. Anyone like to make a motion for the final plat signature hold 30-day approval? Chuck made a motion.
Second.
John seconding it. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Robert Carnahan,
no,
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
John Capora,
Yes.
Jerry Wilkie.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. I think that's it for
That's a
this
lot of
item.
whys.
Yeah. You had a big day. Probably didn't feel like it, but.
Right.
I'll give it. to Stuart. Yeah.
Yep, have a good night.
Thank you.
Right, item number 4, Cedar Lake, 132nd and Morris LLC site plan. Cedar Lake, 132nd Morris LLC, Clinton Street, 16200 Clinton Street, Harvey, Illinois, 60426. Vicinity 13205 Morris Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Legal description, Shades Edition, Cedar Lake Plat B. The rest of the legal description. Petitioner is requesting a site plan. Was this for the food truck? So I'm not sure how much of this we need to discuss at all. Unless somebody wants to. If somebody wants to. I don't think anybody's here for that. Is anyone here for this item? LLC, 132nd Morris LLC site plan, food truck?
Did you check online to make sure?
Yep, nobody.
and Jerry, make sure you mention Michelle put in there that he didn't show up for the BZA. And we continued it to the end of the meeting and he still didn't show up.
Yes, sir. I was going to read Michelle's
Nope.
summary.
Okay, very good.
Just so everybody and anybody paying attention to this meeting knows, the owner wants a site plan to put a food truck and outdoor seating and parking. The item was before the BZA on August 13th, asking for use variance since this type of business is not listed in any business districts. The owner was not present and the items were deferred. It should be noted that any approvals should be contingent on BZA and town council approval. There has been no communication of any kind from the petitioner since the last meeting, which was 2 weeks. So at the BZA meeting, there was a decision to defer this item, and it was unanimously granted. However, the petitioner has not shown up for this meeting either, as we can tell. even on the computer. So I'm not sure there's anything we need to discuss regarding this item until the BZA next month's meeting and the outcome.
Well, we deferred at the BZA because we knew they were coming here. We wanted to see if they showed up, if I remember correct, Barry. This meeting was contingent upon the BZA doing something, which we didn't do anything but defer because they weren't there. So now they're not here now. To me, and no communications, to me, that indicates that they've lost interest in this project. So I would suggest that we remove this item from the agenda.
All right. Does anyone else have any thoughts or ideas about this?
I would support the removal as well.
I would too.
Yeah, I think until we make, because we've never done that in the past, I think we should make it clear in bold font on any application that failure to appear and or notify starting October 1, September 1, what have you, 2020, forces you to have to start over, only because we've never really taken that stance.
Okay. Mr. Austin, since this was deferred at the BZA meeting, hypothetically, they show up at the BZA, hypothetically, there's some form of approval. They have to start over on this end also, right?
Well, they actually never got out of the starting blocks here. They came and really didn't have information, didn't have documentation, didn't have the business plan, didn't have the meat. There was no meat. So
And it was
they would be doing what they should have done, could have done in the first place.
And a petitioner explained to me some extenuating circumstances about a car accident and whatnot. And I'm a little disappointed that no one is here again. So those are my thoughts. Tim made the suggestion about a deferral to BZA, and everybody was good with that. However, this is another no call, no show. Michelle, do you have a question?
This is a site plan. There is no, this is not a public hearing. So at any time, if they do want to come back and you know, be back on it, it wouldn't be, they wouldn't have to notify adjoining and adjacent property owners again, you know.
Permit fees or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we had quite a few demonstrators against this food truck.
That's the BZA though.
At the BZA, but here. I also thought about this a lot. I went online and looked up some stuff on it. There's a lot of health regulations, distancing. Don's letter states that because of where the parking lot is going to be, there's certain requirements they have to do. There's a lot involved with putting a food truck someplace. I don't think this town needs a food truck court, number one. Number two, if we did have one, I think it's gonna wind up looking like a gypsy caravan. And I don't want to see that town, this town, turning into something of that nature. So unless they come back with a good plan and can show us how it's going to be advantageous for this town to have that in, particularly that spot, then you know, I'm against it. And I would make a motion that we take it off the agenda.
You do.
I'd make a motion, we remove it from the agenda for lack of participation on their part.
All right, we have a motion to remove it from the agenda by John Kapora. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Heather. Roll call, please.
Heather Dessauer,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Foreman,
No.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
John Capora,
Yes.
Jerry Wilkening.
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. While we're on this item, before we jump to any update items, is there a real plan in place yet for the food truck business arrangement? Nothing's been finalized by the council?
No.
Okay. Okay.
This is a policy being developed.
Okay. All right.
Waiting on that drafted.
That question kind of goes to what John was saying about the rules and the health regulations and all those things. These food trucks those proprietors do have to come in here and see you to get a permit.
So far, they've gotten a permit for the day over across from the church, and they do have health department approval. They do
Insurance, and they have all those documents they have to
everything
show.
according to, they're doing everything proper as far as what they need to do, and they've obtained their daily permit to do it there, so. But they do have their health department approval, they do have their insurance, you know, they do meet the requirements.
So there is some criteria they're
Yeah,
following.
oh
now.
yeah, you go
So,
online, there's,
Yeah.
it's hard
I
to
meant
read. but-
the criteria that they're following here.
Oh, okay, yeah, and that's fine.
I just want to make sure everybody understood there's not shooting from the hip going on here. Okay, update items. Beacon Point Unit 3 Performance Letter of Credit that expires May 13th, 2021.
I can hit them. Go ahead.
All of these items are being deferred until September's meeting.
All of them are being deferred to September's
So we're
meeting.
just being alerted by this?
Yes, that this is an update for September, beyond the September.
Holy smoke.
We'll have time, yeah. We'll
Well,
have
the
time.
top two don't have to be. They don't expire until next year.
Yeah, next.
Those would be a reduction if we get a reduction in the road. Centennial 12 would be a rotation into maintenance if we get everything completed by then. Rose Garden is a reduction as well. A lot of infrastructure inspections that'll go into that one. It's a $6 million letter of credit right now. They're asking for a full reduction to 25%. So we'll see on that one. And then offshore will be an extension. He's already at his minimum amount right now.
Okay. All right. Is there any public comment? Any public comment?
I got a question.
Hang on. Anybody online?
Nope.
No public comments online. Yes, John.
Has anybody in the whole town heard any more on the YMCA? Are they
Yes.
coming back here, or are they
Yes.
submitting plans?
Yes. There's been a meeting. With YMCA representatives, corporate. Nothing was
You met with
negotiated.
them?
I did with town council president 3 days ago. When did he reported it at the council exec
Monday, you
session?
guys met.
Yeah, it was Monday. This week. Just
Okay,
happened.
and are they moving forward, or what?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I think so.
The probability of them being back here is probably thumbs up.
It was not a detailed discussion, John. It was a discussion about relationship.
Well, because I got word, what's his name, Jeff? Who's the guy in charge?
In charge of what?
The CEO or whoever.
I don't know who the CEO
All
is.
right, whatever, but that, he was here when all the remonstrators were here and what have you.
Well, their point guy is Jay Buckmaster.
Okay, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. That the YMCA did not understand what was required of them to bring it to the commission. That's the word I got, and I was asked if it would be all right if my phone number was given to him so he could call me and ask me what was required. He said, yes, please do. If he called me, I would have referred him to Jerry or Randy or you or somebody. you know, as opposed to me having a conversation with him by myself in my closet or whatever.
And that would probably be problematic if you did that. So that's a really good way of looking at it. You should not, and none of you individually should be having official communication dialogue with.
Well, it wouldn't be official. It's the same as any resident in this town calling me because I'm on the plan
Well,
commission.
do it as you will, John. I'm just suggesting that there's going to be an active petition filed, and you know, using good ethics and good common sense about your role is important. Staff is going to end up spending time with them. I'm certain that they're coming back here if they decide to pursue their project, and they're going to be visiting with you again.
The PUD ordinance is also available on the website, so that kind of gives them a list of the items that.
I'm just telling you.
Well, they have
the word.
Attorney Weezer.
I'm just telling you.
He's done a
what
PUD here before.
The phone call I got, and all I was going to do, because I certainly was going to put myself in a position to get between anything. I was going to refer them to either the Plan Commission president, the town attorney, or to town president. Plain and simple. I wasn't going to.
At this
sit there
point,
and
they've
try-
only come here as with the conceptual plans to show, you know, to get, they came here to get what they received, I believe. I mean, they come to.
To know if we would say yes,
Get
would
that
we?
feedback.
Yeah.
Well, since a few of us are here all the time, this project got started months and months ago, then it went dark, and they came back with the conceptual and the colored balloon drawings. I mentioned to them that, you know, this is what we like, and this is what, you know, this is great for conceptual. They came back again with very similar things, as you pointed out, a PUD document that wasn't really relative to town because of what was on it. So their confusion about what they need to bring here is interesting to me,
Yeah, me too.
because they have experts and experts and experts handling this, and they brought us 3 pieces of paper so far. So I'm hopeful that whatever happened at the meeting, whatever was discussed, made it very clear to them what they need to come back here with. I personally won't talk to any of these people on my own. And, you know, there are people looking for my phone number, as you all know, in my emails or my text. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Anybody else?
I want to finish this conversation though. John, there's nothing else to report to you. If there was something substantive about a plan, about a proposal, about an application, I'd be telling you that. That wasn't what that meeting was about. They heard the same things you were hearing. They have people telling them the same things that have been talked about throughout. That is, that there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of issue, there's a lot of consternation about the project. I'm trying to pick the right words. I don't know if I am. And anxiety over it and all of
Well,
that.
my question
So-
was more, did anybody hear any more about it? Because there's quite a few people in limbo about it. And
Right.
I'm just trying, and I'm one. I don't want to go play golf next year.
With John.
With John who, Hayes?
No, John
Oh,
Foreman.
John Foreman.
The 3 Johns.
When you meet, do you think it would be advantageous to have like the president of the plan commission at a meeting? You had Randy there.
I do, and I've shared that with Jerry.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
See, information dwindles down very slowly. It's like a very small leak in the roof, you know, and it comes down real slow at times. And then all of a sudden you got a flooded basketball court. You know?
Well,
So, I mean, when a commission board sits up here or any board sits up here and gets little information, it's hard for them to make decisions or know what's going on. And people ask them questions and they look at you like you're a dummy because you don't know what's going on. And I'm sorry, but I think that a major project like that, any communication that is had between the town and them should be brought to at least the plan commission's and the zoning board because they got okay to.
Well,
I-
You have
I'm
to remember
curious-
something.
Go ahead.
Not every aspect of this project is yours. There are other items of interest to the town, and we have folks still sitting here, so I won't describe those to you. But that's self-evident also, given how the growth and the expansion of the community is going. There are a lot of pieces on that puzzle that are being put carefully in place. So you don't have all that information coming to you. There'll be decisions made at other board and commission and entity levels here in the town.
Well, I'm not saying give me all the information. What I'm saying is
Well,
let
I
me
thought-
know when meetings occur. That's what I'm asking.
Again,
Keep me informed. I'm part of this town. I have been for over 8 years.
again,
I want to be informed. That's
get-
all I'm saying.
I got you. Again, there's a lot of pieces. And so there'll be calls made at levels by those
I'm
responsible
just a
bodies.
corner piece. I'm not the centerpiece. So.
I got you.
But I want to be informed a little bit.
And for
And
clar-
Dave, what he's trying to say there is that there was other things that the plan commission had to make decisions on. And he heard that the town council was making decisions, and had they known about those decisions, that would have helped them make a better decision.
Who's they, Bob? The council or the commission?
The plan commission.
Okay.
They felt like they were in the dark on what the town council was thinking, and they just wanted some clarity on what they were thinking. So if they knew what they were thinking, that would help them make a better decision.
We have to remember, the town council was approached at one public meeting with schematics or concepts by the same group of people who came to the plan commission meeting with the concept. And they came to the plan commission twice with an intervening pandemic and kind of altered schedule. I'm not defending them. They got their butts kicked the other night by the citizenry that wanted to know. Fair enough. It is fair. But there are items of information that you had that the council didn't have, frankly, because you had more access to the little bit of information they gave you. It wasn't much. And they were told that in the meeting we had with them. What they gave us was wholly insufficient and not acceptable for consideration of decisions.
and I shared that with Randy on numerous occasions since that happened. And I had a conversation about 2 minutes long with Randy, late Monday afternoon, early evening. He said that Dave and he had a meeting with the YMCA players, and they should be very clear on what they're expected to bring. That's the only information there is, John.
I'm not,
No, I'm just for clarification.
I'm not saying you're not giving me information. I'm saying I don't know when meetings are taking place that actually something is being done to progress this project. Now, if I'm told, yeah, there was a meeting with the town attorney and the town president, fine, okay, and stuff was discussed, but nothing of really great importance, or yeah, that's fine. But I didn't know if the YMCA was still interested or not.
That's fair.
And to me, it doesn't seem like they are.
Not with the level of effort on a project that big.
Definitely not. That was probably $500,000 spent already.
I don't know where. I don't know where.
Well,
Grand drawings?
probably 90% of that is in the Hayes family pocket.
Oh, well, that's not business. That's not business on our agenda.
No.
So,
Not certain we can give you any information about that.
all right.
I just gave everybody information.
Does anyone have anything else? Any Zoomers?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right, well, I guess we will conclude this meeting.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, how about that? Was it 3-2?
Oh, yeah.